everyone, and welcome back to another great episode of Super Cool Radio. I'm your host, as always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have an incredible two-part interview coming at you guys that I'm going to feature on this channel. Right now will be part one of my interview with an amazing musician from Cleveland, Ohio. Most recently, I had the opportunity to digitally sit down and chat with Joel Ellis. He's been part of some awesome projects, including Cats and Boots, Heavy Bones, Ellis Island, Ellis and Angel, and most recently, Joel Ellis Music. His latest project, he has been digitally reproducing Heavy Bones, and he just released Real Heavy Bones Volume 1, and it's incredible. It is available on his website. He has CDs, vinyl, and an LP package, which includes a vinyl copy of Real Heavy Bones Volume 1, a CD, and a shirt. And you can only get this on his website. I'll leave a link in the description to give you guys a glimpse into the album I'm going to feature, Turn It On, off the album, and then we're going to jump into part one of my interview with Joel Ellis. Hope you guys enjoy, and again, if you like what you hear, make sure to pick yourself up a CD or a vinyl copy of Real Heavy Bones Volume 1. As I said, a link will be in the description. But right now, here is Turn It On by Heavy Bones. Crank it up!
to recorder.
That doesn't affect your chord level.
Yeah, it affects the overall.
No, it doesn't. That doesn't affect your chord.
I have an incredible guest joining me at this time. He's an amazing musician and producer. He's been part of some incredible bands and projects, including Cats and Boots, Heavy Bones, Ellis Island, Ellis and Angel, and most recently, Joel Ellis Music. Please welcome Joel Ellis.
Woo! You did your homework, Matthew. That's pretty cool.
I know we got quite a bit to discuss. Obviously, Real Heavy Bones just released this month, and I know we got quite a bit to discuss with that. But before we talk about that, I'm curious for you because I know in the last recent couple of years you've moved back to Cleveland. So I want to know how was that and how does it feel to be back in your hometown?
Uh, you know, um, it's a melancholy, not melancholy, but Cleveland is great. All right. I grew up here, and the '70s in Cleveland it was insanity. It was beautiful. Every band had so many concerts. They were having major acts play, in the afternoon, and but it's not so much rock and roll anymore. But it's still a great music city, and um, moving back here, it was hard to leave the things about LA that I like. The beaches, the sunsets, the friends, the artistic, just everything. Being around the industry is great, and it makes it really convenient for a lot of studios. And that was my biggest concern coming back here was, the quality of engineering and things like that. But it's worked out for me in the essence of me picking up my production chops because kind of a big fish in a semi small pond. I wouldn't say a small pond, but compared to New York or LA, I tell people Cleveland's like a small New York. So, and it kind of is, and yeah, it was hard for me to leave LA. But there's just too many things out there, and the music industry started moving to Nashville, and so just about everybody kind of migrated to Nashville, either Nashville or the rock scene moved to Vegas, and so I when I got here, I mean immediately like City Hall, they called and said, "We hear you're in town, I want you to do a show." So I went down to the center of town. We did this little concert with a bunch of musicians, guys I grew up with. We just had a blast, and so I started realizing, it is still a music town in some sense. A lot, well, it is. I keep saying some sense or whatever, but after rap kind of changed a lot of rock music, but I'm seeing rock really come back, and Cleveland has a lot of great stages. So I'm digging it. I grew up with WMMS, the number one FM station, in the world. And LA's got the greatest rock stations, but WMMS growing up and it's still a great station. So um, I'll be doing a podcast for for MMS or at least one of the DJs that work there, and so it's a good reception.
Well, I'm really glad that you're obviously moving back and obviously you're having a great time there that, even City Hall called you to do a show. So like they knew you were
Right.
back in town as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's got a lot of small town charm, So
I don't know for sure. I've been to Cleveland twice. I visited Cleveland with my family back before the pandemic, and then I went to the Agora Theater at a
mhm,
show I think about 2 or so years ago. So I've always had a great time every time I visit Cleveland.
yeah. Well, the Agora, amazing historic place. So many acts broke out of there, um, and you know, I mean, without MMS in Cleveland, maybe Rush wouldn't be here. I don't know, but they broke out of Cleveland and from Toronto. But Yeah, well, down in that area, downtown metropolitan Cleveland, it rocks. I mean, it's a great city. I wouldn't want, I wouldn't recommend coming here in the winter, but but I can always scoot off. Next week I'm leaving for Florida in Miami, so I definitely need to get out once in a while. And I travel a lot. Nashville's just 5 hours away. New York is close, Toronto's close, so and LA's just a flight away.
Exactly, exactly. No, for sure. I live in Indiana, and I can tell you that the weather's been like below zero for like most of like this
Yeah.
week. So you're probably experiencing some similar conditions.
Yeah, but I'll take it. I'll take snow and sunshine over. I was in Portland for a little while, and it was just insanity out there. They just had like 2 feet of snow and 3 inches of ice, and the ice gets so heavy the trees break. And yeah, no, I'll take Cleveland over Portland anytime.
That's I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah, the lake. I'll take the lake effect over the Pacific storms. But
Yeah, at least lake effect is nice, light, fluffy snow. Like I'm good. I don't like ice. That's not fun.
yeah, no, I'm just a couple hours away from great skiing up in upstate New York, and yeah,
For sure. For
yeah.
sure. So January 12th, you released Real Heavy Bones Volume 1. So like how did this project to digitally reproduce this album, how did that come about?
First off, there's a whole lot of things, as far as manufacturing and things like that. So the January 12th release date was great but we've really been holding our thumb over the hose for some legal business and manufacturing. I moved my manufacturing, for the CDs from the U.S. over to BMG Germany, and so things like that. But yeah, the official release date where you're going to see all the advertising and everything. The pre-orders are available now at joelellismusic.com, and but but yeah, the official release date where you're going to see a lot of marketing and PR. That's probably going to be this month. Well, it will be this month. I'm just so there's a little delay, but take your time and do it right. It's a great project. Um, how it came about, uh, you know, I never was happy with the original artwork on the Heavy Bones release, and so I wasn't really happy. I didn't really take part in that cover. So Warner Brothers was calling me recently, or not recently, but over the last 5 years. People over at Warner Music were, Joel, we really think the record's got legs, and we want to release it and reissue it. And I kind of refused to do it unless I had full creative control, because I didn't want that goofy monster clown. Hey, if I can't knock me, who can? But but yeah, so they did. They said you can have full creative control, and I said great. So I'm going to rearrange the track list, and I'm going to put some bonus tracks on it. And they said great. So I started looking around in my attic for outtakes and things like that. And I found a box that was loaded with all my old tapes, or quarter-inch tapes, that up in my Hollywood apartment. And it was during a really wild time. This is just the apartment was always, it was a fun place, and a lot of rock stars, musicians, and local girls, let's say. But yeah, it was just a 24/7 party. So I was recording on this Tascam machine. It's an eight track. It's got the sliders. It's like a control board, and so I was recording the demos on that, and we recorded a lot of wild stuff. But I had Tammy from Pastor Pussycat was my neighbor. Stephen Piercy of Rat was my roommate. Eric Moore from the Gods, and just a lot of fun stuff. So we had these really unique recordings, let's say. But in the midst of it, I met Gary Hoey, and I was really impressed with his musical skills. And he was just kick-ass guitarist, and it's just convenient because he was living in the apartment building next door. And so we started writing, and so he would basically follow me around the apartment, with a guitar playing riffs. And as soon as I heard something, I would say, "Oh, what were you playing?" And then we'd sit down and we'd work on it and arrange it and then record it. So when the song started getting written, we went over into It was a old machine shop that my first band, Mary Hoax on Atlantic Records. We found this old machine shop because Mates was always full. So right around the corner was a machine shop, and we went in and told the owner that we want to convert this to a rehearsal place, and he's like, rock and roll, yeah. And so we did. We converted it, and he pulled all the drill presses and lathes out and swept up all the machine, metal chips off the floor and the oil. And we went in and we started rehearsing. This was back in like 86, 87. And then over the years, it continually grew with every new person. And then I did all the Cats and Boots rehearsals there, and it's a pre-production building. And then so naturally, when Heavy Bones came around, we went back in there. Um, so we set up, and Frankie, Rex, and Gary and I, and we basically we had 5 microphones, and then we had 3 extra tracks. It was an 8-track machine to do lead guitar and whatever else. And so we put a mic in Frankie's kick, and then we hung another one just right above his drums. And Frankie is such a powerful drummer, or was, rest his soul. That everything was loud. And everything, from him hammering on the hi-hat to the toms and the snare. Really, you only needed one mic above him, because it all came out. And in fact, I had to put plexiglass walls around his drums after a while, because his kick drum was just beating a hole in the back of my head. And so the sound, I mean. And so we just had one shitty mic on the bass, one shitty mic on the guitar, and 257s, and I sang through a 58. And so we tracked probably 50 or 60, closer to 60 songs. And then the label chose, we worked with the label to choose 12 songs. And 12 was even a lot. So it's actually too much to put on vinyl. That's why it hasn't been released on vinyl yet, which I intend to do, and with bonus tracks soon, maybe this year. It depends. It would be a big project. But so, anyways, years later, Heavy Bones was basically, we had I don't know, some just shitty management. We had the same manager that tanked the Bullet Boys, and I'm good friends with Mark Tureen, and he basically said, yeah, use our manager, he's doing good. This was when they were, had Smooth Up In You come out. And then not long after that, he just there's a difference between a manager and an accountant, I guess. And one of the differences, they have different motivations. So I'll just put it like that. So years later, the years later thing is here. So years later, Dave Ponick up at Warner Brothers has been calling me, and I told him I'll do it if I can do that. Creative control and the bonus tracks. And then I had to start looking for a 388 machine. So Tascam only made these things for a couple of years. And I bought mine in Hollywood for $300, and then now they're like $5,000 or $6,000, and there's very few left because they're a fragile machine. And so I just happened to get lucky, and in Costa Mesa, California, I found a music shop where the guy actually sought these things out and reconditioned them and had them tuned up by so I found this machine, and he wanted $5,000 for it. And we got to be friends. It turns out he was a fan. Donnie Sinky is his name. Give him, here you go. And so this machine is, I think it's mine. I do. I think it's the original one because it has some of the similar markings. The dent where the beer bottle hit, here and there. So I picked that machine up. I drove from Portland down to LA, and then while I was in LA, I dropped all the tapes off to be digitized with Dan Johnson, and over in Burbank. And so he digitized everything, and he squeezed me between his busy schedule with all the old Kiss masters, the tape where he had all the 2-inch masters, and he squeezed me in between there and Eric Burden and War. And so I felt really privileged, but I actually got to hold the masters in my hands. It was exciting. And so I took the 388 machine in there, and he was excited to work for it. But they digitized all the tapes for me, and so then I took my car down there to be reconditioned by guys that I knew that did racing, and so I had a BMW 388 that I drove out there, and it's got a small trunk, and so I got a big blanket. I put the machine on it, and a buddy and I we literally drove the machine because you can't ship them. So we literally drove it from LA back up to Cleveland, and right around that time, Bootsy Collins asked me if I would. Work with them for a song at the the climate Glasgow, Scotland climate. He wanted to get a song for his show up there, and so I found a studio. It was a little bit out in the country, not really in the country, but just out there. And so this engineer, and when I went in the studio, I was so impressed. And Defunct Studios in Cleveland, and the guy that owns it, Mike Jaworski, has since become my production partner because he's brilliant. He's basically up to par with a Hollywood engineer, and so we went in there. And the studio, I tell everybody that it's not your normal studio that you'd find in the in the Midwest, but if you picked it up and dropped it in Hollywood, nobody would miss a beat. Beautiful room and great sound, but it's all it's digital. It's a giant digital board with Pro Tools, and so I'm like, all right. But it turned out to be an amazing experience, and I never knew Pro Tools could do what it does. And so when you're talking about the tracks, they were recorded live in our rehearsal room with 5 mics, then just 3 overdubs, and well, actually 6, because I sang my vocals. I forget about myself, but yeah, I was there too, and so it was as analog can get. Just as it was like a live concert. Every day we were in there having fun and rehearsing, and so that's what we captured. We captured the band, the only recordings of the band playing live, and having a hell of a good time. And it's us producing us. And there's some great moments on there. We break off. We'd get to the end of a song, and instead of stopping, we'd break off into just a jam. And so I left a lot of that in there. I didn't edit. I didn't really edit anything. The only editing that we did was audio enhancement. Um, Mike, he turns out that he was a big Frankie Bonelli fan growing up, and he's a drummer. And so he just got so excited with working with one of his heroes, and he took Frankie's drums. And if you listen to the drumming that Frankie did on this record, it's amazing. It's so musical. But it's a lot more aggressive than the original demo on Reprise Records, or not demo. What am I saying? The original debut record, the studio one, the big pretty one. So this one is really raw, punchy. But Mike took every one of Frankie's drums. And then he took out the noise in between and isolated it, left the natural performance. And he basically we went through the whole track, and we just basically just reproduced the whole thing. And then I started adding tracks to it. I brought in Grizz, the bass player from Mary Hoax, and so he came in and did a bass track on "Your Love Won't Let Me Down," and just one of my favorite songs. And so I redid some vocals, this and that. Not the main vocals. The main vocals are cool, but we added some sections that I re-sang and things like that. A lot of background vocal doubles is what I was referring to, things like that. And because singing in the pre-production, I wasn't able to do things like my harmonic double and turn it on and things like that. Um, and I like to do my lead vocals doubled. I can double my vocals exactly. And so that's Cats and Boots. You're just a fat vocal on there. So I went in and did a lot of that work. And then Gary Hoey, Warner Brothers brought us back together. We there was a bit of silence between us, I'll say, over the years, since Heavy Bones. But since then, with Warner Brothers, they contacted Gary and they contacted me. And he said, "You guys get back together." And it's like, "Yeah, I don't have any problem with it," And he was the same way. And we talked for the first time, and boom, it was like we didn't miss a beat. And he's been just incredibly supportive. In fact, he's done some fresh guitar work, on the record. Keep in mind this was just a one mic 5-track production. So we added a lot of organic, overdubs and things like that. And then we went into the processing. And once I heard what he was doing with Frankie's drums, it sounded like a studio track, and it's just insane. And so, we put a couple of transients on the drums just to enhance them, but it's all the organic original performance. Nothing's changed. But it's a studio production now. I can call it that because I reproduced it with Mike in his studio, and so it's remixed, reproduced, and had it mastered by a phenomenal mastering engineer, Maor Applebaum, out in Los Angeles. And he did a lot of great stuff like Yes Records and Faith No More, and just a whole lot more. But he's great. And so he took the time to do a great job mastering this. And now we're having the CDs pressed at the number one pressing plant, Sauna Press. It's basically BMG and BMG Records.
Thank you so much for watching part 1 of my interview with Joel Ellis. As I said in the intro, Real Heavy Bones, Volume 1 is only available on his website. A link will be in the description. Make sure to pick yourself up a copy on CD or vinyl. Be on the lookout for part 2. It will be available on February 29th, a very special Leap Day edition of Super Cool Radio. And if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and make sure to turn on that notification bell. That way you don't miss any new videos from Super Cool Radio. I'm your host as always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, stay frosty.